Hello everyone, a very good morning or evening or afternoon to everyone out here. So in this video, we are gonna see how we can use Python to interact with APIs using the request package that is available. So before getting into the code, let's understand what are APIs first. So API, as we all know, stands for Application Programming Interface. So it's a way how you can interact with a server which is either hosted locally or remotely, and you can perform some kind of a data exchange or some kind of operation on the server side. So there are mainly two ways how you can interact with the server. It is either through WebSockets or through RESTful APIs. In this case, we are interested about RESTful APIs, and we are going to use a Python code base to interact with a GitHub API on one hand to get in some data, and on the other hand, we are gonna send some data to a locally hosted web server running Node.js to send some data to it. So let's get started. And before getting started, let me just tell you why, in terms of IoT, these are needed. I mean, the APIs are needed, or rather, why you need to have this kind of capability, and why I have chosen Python for now. So there are simply, I would say, rather two reasons behind it. The first being, most of the devices that we know today that are available to us supports Python as a native programming development language that we have. And you talk of Raspberry Pi, you talk about ESP32, you talk about many other single board computers that are available in the market. So it is obviously much easier to interact with this device using Python. And secondly, when you're dealing with lots of sensor data, or when you're dealing with IoT, you need some externally hosted web server to send in those data. And that is why we have chosen Python as a programming language to showcase to you as how we can do the same. So let's get to the code. So as you can see, I think so. Let me try to zoom in a bit. Let me minimize this part. So I have created two files. One is a sample get and it's a sample post. Before going into the actual code, let me show you what kind of data we are expecting to get from this particular API. So that's what we are gonna start at now. GitHub has a publicly exposed API, and this API is nothing but the URL of the API is https api.github.com/user/avriv171. So this avriv171 is nothing but just a GitHub username. So my GitHub username is avriv171, and that is why I have put up that. So that's a get type request. Now again, when you're dealing with APIs, there can be multiple types of requests, like get not APIs to be exact, but RESTful APIs or representational state transfer APIs. So we are dealing with that as of now. So you have get, you have post, you have put, patch, and all those, and I'm just using Postman to get the list out here. So before approaching to any APIs, what I strongly recommend is you understand how that API actually works using some kind of API decoding tool like Postman or whatever is available out there, and then understand how it works and then implement it on your code. That way it will save you a lot of time and a lot of debugging is possible. So once I send a request, let me just decrease the size a bit. I will get all the details for my GitHub user ID. So I'm gonna just go with, probably I'll just display some information like company, email, location, blog, company name, etc., etc. And that's how it is. So you can see that the resultant is a JSON that we get, and it's a get request that we initiate. So in this particular code base, it is sample get.py. So here we are gonna use the request module, and to install the request module is pretty much straightforward. You can just go to pypy.org, copy this, which is request, and use the pip package manager to install this particular module. So the first is obviously like import request. I form like I just declare my username, the GitHub username, in a variable. Then I declare the base get URL, like from where I need to get the information. And finally, I form the API URL, which is base get URL, which is this, plus the GitHub username, which is server171. And then I send a trigger a response, like trigger a get request to this particular API. Now, if I print response body, which is essentially basically what response returns, let us just print response and see what it returns. So I'm gonna comment this particular line and this line, run python sample get py. So response returns the response code along with some other information. So the response code 200 stands for that like everything is okay and we are getting whatever information is needed, and there is no error as such from the server side. Now what we are gonna do is I'm just gonna uncomment this line and this print statement as well. So I'm gonna take out the response body and just print whatever I'm getting the response body in a JSON format. So let me just clear the console and I'm gonna expand this a bit so as it is easier to see. Python sample, oops, I forgot to save, sample get .py. I pretty much get all the information that is needed and basically the API response. And now what I'm gonna do, so this object that you have response, it's a the response body is essentially a JSON type dictionary object. So all I need to do to select some information, all I need to do is just simply save it in a variable or simply print it. And we all know how to access Python dictionaries. So it will be like response body, the name of the variable, and within third bracket and within the double quotes you need to mention the key. So in this case, let's mention as login is needed. In another, I'll just copy the statement. I'm gonna need the name, company, and bio. I'm gonna clear the console, the terminal rather, python sample get .py. Okay, let me just comment this line. Yep, Avira171 is login, the name is Avira Basu, the company is PTCC, and bio. So it's pretty much straightforward. There are no complications as such in order to get to initiate a get request and get the required data. Now this is just to get the information from a web server. Now what you will do if you want to post some data, as in the case is with most IoT devices. So for that you need to simply replace the get with post and pass some 2 extra parameters to it. So what I'm gonna do is that again we are gonna use the request module, the JSON module also we are gonna import. I have just declared an empty dictionary data to be sent and just added some key value pairs, name and GitHub username. And I have also mentioned the post URL. Post URL is nothing but it's just a locally hosted web server which is running Node.js Express framework. And what it does essentially, it will just whatever data it receives from this particular code base, it will just send this data back to us in a JSON format. And that's it. That's pretty simple, nothing else. So like previously it was request.get and here it's request.post, and what all you need to pass is the post URL, that is the API URL, the JSON data that you need to send to the API, and followed by the headers. Now this is important as we are specifying that the content that we are sending to the API is a JSON type object and not something else. So in some cases I've seen in Python 3.x that we need to specify headers and just explicitly mention headers is equals to the variable, and then finally print the response that you get. It's as simple as that, nothing complicated, nothing rocket science. These are like bits and pieces of code which will ultimately combine to give you a much larger and unique experience when you do a full scale project. So I'm gonna run this code and just to verify like if my web server is running or not. Well, it is running. Cool. So Python sample post.py. So I'm just sending this particular information, that is name of repository and GitHub username, and as a response what I'm getting back is simply this particular data frame, that is data, name of repository and GitHub username. That's it, nothing else. And if you want to get into more details like what response code belongs to what, well, I mean, obviously 200 stands for everything is fine. 404, that's 404, we all know, not found. So like that's not the scope of this video. This video is just a very basic level introduction about using Python and request module to initiate get and post request. That's it, nothing else. So in the next video, probably in more upcoming videos, we are going to explore in more details about the entire ecosystem of IoT, Python, C++, and some more concepts, and ultimately move towards building a end-to-end project about how you can integrate all the small components that we build over the upcoming few weeks, and create a larger ecosystem of such an IoT system. Thank you, and I hope you like this video. Please hit the like button if you have liked this video. Please share it amongst your friends and colleagues and students such that they can also get some kind of a learning experience through these videos. I'll definitely try to improve the quality of these videos, and I'll see you again in the next video. Till then, have a good day, and thank you again.